Hello everybody, how are you? Thought we might do some painting tonight. Hey guys. So I thought I'd play with some Goblin green. Somebody was asking, I saw in the Cabal, how to color match, or what a good color match was for Goblin green, and I just happened to be painting some Goblins. So I thought you guys could go with me on the process to try to find the color. Yeah. Can you guys hear me? I didn't say anything for a long time, Len. Probably should do that because you can't see me. So anyways, I thought we'd work with Billy here. Yeah. Try to see what works best. If I go close. That actually does work pretty good. One of Emil's sculpts. One of our Mudthumps characters. So I guess let's get started, huh? Now we're just going to go through this process. I might fail miserably, but this is what I do most of the time, and I usually can do it pretty well. But the time that I'm trying to do it live will probably be the time that it beats me. But I'm used to disappointing people, so no biggie. If you keep going, you'll always get there. So what I'm going to do is I already painted these guys straight up Army Painter green skin. Yeah. So that's what this is. It's just that. And we're going to start probably with that as our base, or as our starting color. So I'll put some of that down. And then, here's the deal. You know you're going to need some yellow. Okay? Because I'm looking at a neck peg. Yeah. And that's kind of it's a yellowish. It's definitely got a yellow cast to that green. So we know we're going to need some yellow. And hopefully I have enough of this yellow in here to get some out. Because this yellow is still getting old. And I haven't replaced it yet. That ought to work. Where's Curtis? Curtis doesn't care about me. He's on to bigger and better things now with him and Emil and their sculpting show. But it was nice while it lasted. So let's just start with that. Shall we? Looking for a specific brush. There it is. So the first thing I'm going to do is get some yeller in here. And you play around with it. A little more. So, then what I do is I take my little neck peg and I put my brush next to it. And as you can see, it's a lot. My brush is showing that it's a lot more greener, a lot more vibrant. So, I know that red desaturates green. So we'll see what this does. And that's totally taken us into, I may have used a little bit too much red, but no big deal. No big deal at all. I'm going to take a big spot of the green. Get that in there. It'll bring it back a little bit. Let's check in. Still too green. Still too green. Like if I put a little bit of dab of this. Hard to do this looking at a camera. Now that's going to dry darker than it is. And you can see it needs a bit more yellow to it. So let's get back to the yellow. Look at some comments here, if there is any. Can you paint his hair blonde? I can try. It depends on how quickly it takes me to match this color. If this goes smoothly and I get it fairly quick, then I'll go into the blonde hair. So I just dabbed, trying to get just a little red, because it keeps going back and forth between like too much green to not enough green, so I'm going to just put this yellow in there, and I don't know if that really did change it a little. But I'm going to go back. And I guess the purpose of this is to show that it doesn't matter what kind of paint you have, or even where you start. I mean, these colors aren't anything I picked. It's not like I'm like, oh, use this color and this color and this color. It's just, I'm simply just taking different shades of green and looking at how it matches up compared to what I have on this neck peg right here, and just shooting from the hip. Shooting from the hip. It'd be pretty cool. So now that's starting to look pretty close. I don't know if I can. If you look at the neck, it's going to dry darker than that. So now I'm to the point where I'm going to say, okay, let's paint some on this neck peg where no one's going to see it, right? We'll paint over what I just did. Okay. And now I'm going to take the hairdryer and hit it. Then we'll see what that looks like when it's dry. Oh, it's wild. Let's see how we did. It's pretty good. I think I could almost live with that. It's a little darker, but the thing is the way I paint, I'm going to be putting like yellow highlights and everything into the head. So like I'm going to be making, so I'm going to be taking like pieces of this yellow, and I'm going to be dragging some of this color out and making a highlight color. Okay, and I'm going to be taking maybe some red, and I'll be dragging another section out. That's probably way too much, but you guys will get the idea here. When yeah, that was probably way too much, but it's not a big deal. I'm not even going to mess with that, but we'll do it over here. So we'll get like a darker thing going, okay? So that when now I have this in here to paint my actual head with, let me use this one. No, it is not the same hairdryer. I don't use a hairdryer very often ever for my actual hair. My only use of a hairdryer is when I do my painting. So I totally threw my back out this week. And it sucks. Like if you saw me stand up right now, it would not be pretty. It would take me a long time. And sitting for long periods of time kind of makes it worse. So we'll see how this all works out for me. I didn't even do anything. Like I don't know what caused it. I just woke up and I was like, ah, I can't move. And it really, really sucked. Sucks. I wish it was missionary taking out the back. Dang. It'd be hot. Nope. Just me being stupid, I guess. Stupid and old and out of shape. So the key, obviously, would be to make more of this than I did, so that we can, you know, I've got extra heads. I've got heads here that I want to paint, and I'm going to run out of this. So this won't, I'll have to still work on it to get it back. To where we want it. But while I'm here, I'm gonna grab this brush and I'm going to hit some highlights. Like here above his head. Make some in here. And his eyebrows. Hit some on these raised parts of his head while it's still kind of wet. Hit the tops of his ears. Hope that you guys can see this. And I'm even going to take some of the other and kind of just blend it in. Get up in here. Whoops. We'll get up in here. And then we'll get this dark stuff. We'll go like under his nostrils, bottom of his nose. And I'll just play around, man. Bottom of his chin. So we get a lot of different colors of green in there. And what that kind of does is, I just don't want to go to a haven. What that kind of does is confuses the eye. So I don't know where I've been holding. I could have been completely off camera when I was doing that. Hope not. We gotta get the top of a little slip here. So it's based out in a color that's very close to what we have on the original. And then with all these other shades that we're putting in there. Kind of like makes it so you're, if you are off a little bit, it doesn't seem to stand out that much. When that dries, then you can just keep working it for a long time. Because this is just going to stay waterier, and it's going to get waterier, and then these almost turn into thin washes of color. So they don't even make drastic changes when you put them down anymore. And the more you keep playing, that actually looks pretty cool. Doesn't look as quite as good on the... Let's change this lighting and see if it makes anything different. I don't know if it really matters. So, that's basically it. It actually... Let's see here. Now you can't see much of this goblin anyways. It works. It's hard to show off because of lighting, but it works pretty good. And yeah. See if there's any. That's how I do it. Now, if I'm going to do brown, or I'm sorry, if I'm going to do blonde hair, that's really easy. My kids' noise. It's really easy, but let's see if I have my stuff handy. So, thing is, if you're going to do blonde, I always start with brown. Because brown hair basically is at the roots or in the shadows of any blonde hair. And so, let's do it. Let's see what you guys are seeing. So this is a reddish brown in order that, oh shoot, wrong color, dummy. The way you make it a darker brown, you put some blue in it, not some red. So we'll see. See that changing on the side there? Dark brown, darker brown. The more blue I put in, darker the brown that makes it. So then we start God, I'm so blind. I'm trying to resist the urge to put my goggles on, to put my eyes on, or bring, yeah, it's really hard because I'm trying not to bring it up to my face because I want you guys to kind of see what I'm doing, but basically this is just me putting on, trying to get into all the cracks. And I may need my eyes here, because seeing where he's got like stubble, like this whole area here, which I'm painting brown, it's stubble. Like his hair is shaved, you know, down right there. And finding that my eyes just can't, they just can't see where that stops and meets his skin. And so therefore, it might be something that has to get done. And I'm not too precious about this color here. Like if I mix in some more blue to get more paint and it's not exact, I'm not at all worried. Because this is going to be near, you know, there's going to be layers over this, so. This was the boring part, guys. For probably to watch. Yeah, I know you can't see my face. The problem is I have a small area to look through because of my microphone is in the way, the camera is on an arm, and the goggles make my face bigger. But I'll probably have to get there. Now, if I was really like planning, if I was planning on doing this hair, I probably would have done that first, because I want to dry brush. I'm going to be dry brushing, and I wouldn't have to worry about hitting the skin that I just worked on if I did this first, then painted green. That wasn't what I was going to plan on covering tonight, so... But I have a fix for that, I think. I love my family. They never come down here. Every time I'm like doing one of these, they come down here. And they don't know that I'm doing this. And they talk to each other as though they're not in the same room. But what are you going to do? Okay. We're almost getting there. Now this is the pain in the butt part of every... You know, there's much faster ways to do this stuff. But I rarely pick the fast way. Like, I could have just spray painted this brown. And then the hair would have already been done. And then I could have dry brushed it. And then I could have done the skin last. And probably would come out really quick. But not my thing. Alright. I only have one viewer left. No one cares. It's alright. Okay. Here we go. Getting these sideburns done where the stubbly hair meets the... Do the same thing on this side. Because he's actually got like sideburns, which is hilarious. This is one of the funniest sculpts, in my opinion, we've done. It has a great story, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard about how Emil didn't want to make a mulleted goblin. But me and Len, and I believe even Gerard, was kind of like, yeah, you gotta do it. And he did it. And I love it. Billy. So, next we're going to use this color. Desert Yellow. That's actually a pretty good blonde. Like somebody saying dishwater blonde. Has a blonde highlighted mullet. It's me, I'm the still sole viewer. Thanks, Anthony. Oh no, I gotta bend over. I put my stupid... there we go. So I'm gonna try to speed this up. close. So now I'll show you my little trick I was talking about. Now it's a little dangerous because this paint isn't very dry, but I'm going to try to not press this on there very hard. I'm going to take sucks when you have animals. You get hair in your tack. There we go. I'm going to take the tack, and I'm not gonna jam it on the freshly painted skin. I'm just gonna kind of get it on there so it half-ass sticks a little bit, and it. Okay. And I'm just gonna make a mask out of sticky tack to help me when I'm dry brushing. To not mess stuff up that I've already painted. Can you guys see that? I'm sorry. I'm probably doing that for me and not you. I don't care if I get paint in this tack. I got a ton of it and it's cheap. And it really doesn't even wreck it, in my experience. You can just kind of shove it in where it needs to be. There. It made kind of a mask for it. And now, do some quick dry brushing and it'll almost be done. I'm going to grab my palette. I'm going to get this out of the way. Where can I set this? I'll set it over here. I'm going to use some desert yellow. It's a good go-to color. I'm going to lick my finger and do that. That way it pulls out if there's any chips or loose paint in there. And I'm going to splooge this right on top of that paint. You got to make that noise when you do that. You got to go. And then I'm going to take my dry brush and paper towel. And we're going to get this really good in here. And we're going to get that paint off. And like I talked about before, be very light-handed. You're just trying to hit the top spots. And the lighter handed you go, the more control you have. You can always go over it again and go over it as many times as you want until you get it exactly the way you want it. So, as I go over this, I know this seems like it. God, my daughter talks so loud. I don't know if you guys are hearing that. Okay. I'm going to tell my daughter to shut up. Claire.
What?
Oh, my.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this big old brush ain't working out. It's quite as good as I thought it would. So I'm going to try a smaller brush here. This is not usually what I would use. But let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. It gets into this stubbly area better. There. That's working out pretty good. Like I said, you can just keep going until you get it exactly the way you want it. You're going to want the top of his hair to be the most yellow, down by the roots. But it's going to work. So you just keep going until you get the amount of dirty blonde that you want. And then there's washes that can even it out when it's done. But this is basically the main idea. The main idea. So I'm feeling like I need to get in there even more. We're going a little bit even more aggressive here. This is past dry brushing now. This is moist brushing. Anyways, that's what you do. You just keep playing with it. I'm going to keep playing with this. You guys are probably sick of this by now, but I'll keep playing with this, and I will get them looking good. And maybe I'll throw in like a dirty wash, which will it'll bring it all together. And when I get his eyes in there and his teeth, and just keep seeing spots where I'm like, hey, there's not a lot of blonde. So there you go. Let's see here. And that's it. Done. For now.